I'm a dad. I have moments in my life I'm like looking at my kids thinking, all right, they're going to do this, they're going to do this, and they're going to do this. And I always feel lucky as a dad because mostly kind of the dreams and the goals and the wishes I have for my kids, they work real hard. I have hard-working kids. And they work real hard and they accomplish those goals. It makes you feel great, right? And that's the thing about being a sports fan. It's generally, most of us are realistic. Nobody in Tampa Bay right now thinks the Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl. And they shouldn't. They're not. Nobody in Indianapolis, even with Andrew Luck back, thinks the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl. And they shouldn't. They're hopeful in San Francisco with the 49ers. Most people don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Most NBA fans in Charlotte know they're not a dynasty. Most NBA fans in New Orleans know we need more than Anthony Davis. But there are those occasional teams you have real hope for. And you think they can break through the glass, get to another level a little sooner than maybe they should. Boston was one of those teams for me. I think next year we have two dynasties in the NBA. The Warriors are the current dynasty, and the Boston Celtics begin a 10-year Eastern Conference dynasty. I just made a big mistake last night. I expected Boston, I don't know, to be able to win one road game, one against LeBron James. But unfortunately, this NBA season is the only one, and I've been watching this league for 40 years, when in May, I already know what's going to happen in June. The Cavs are going to roll either Cleveland or Boston. I was thinking last night, Boston, Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, with these guys, it starts next year. My bad. I thought this Boston team with the best coach in basketball, better defensive players, more youth, more energy, would be able to, I don't know, not get blown out in the first quarter and the game be over 9 minutes into it. Because remember last year, I was all geeked up for the finals. You forget how good Cleveland was last year. LeBron was the best player in the world. Kyrie Irving was a top 6 or 7 player in the world. And Kevin Love was a top 20 player in the world. They rolled to the Eastern Conference last year. The Cavs were 12-1. They got off to a 10-0 start. Last year, this Cavs team, when they moved through the East effortlessly and got to the finals, there was some drama. Oh, Colin, Golden State had Kevin Durant. Yeah, they did. But remember, it took Shaq and Kobe a while. Remember LeBron and D. Wade's first trip to the finals didn't end well. It takes a while when you add a star for the chemistry to be perfect in the finals against a great team like Cleveland. Draymond Green and Kevin Durant, chemistry wasn't perfect last year. There was drama going into last year's finals. Now, Golden State rolled them, but there was drama. LeBron, best player. Kyrie, sixth best player. That team had won a championship. Kevin Love was probably a top 20, 22 player in the league. And Tristan Thompson, you thought to yourself, yeah, you put him on Kevin Durant, he pushes him around. This could be interesting. And it wasn't. This year, though, last night, it's over. It's over. Cleveland's too old and too unbalanced. And Boston just can't win a game unless mom makes them a home-cooked meal and they're staying in their nice, comfortable bed. Because you put Boston on the road and they miss dunks and layups and everything. I want to get back home. I'm not very good on the road. It's a hotel and I have to sleep by myself and mom doesn't make me a meal. Last night was two deeply flawed teams who are going to get rolled by the Warriors. My bad. I thought Boston, was able to drive the car by themselves, go on the road, find the hotel, get a good night's sleep, come out, and be grown-ups. But unfortunately, Boston missed dunks and layups in the first quarter, looked intimidated, was down 16, and the game was over 8 minutes into it. I guess sometimes our kids let us down. Sometimes that team that we know is eventually going to be good just isn't ready to be special yet. Let me shift gears to this. LeBron set a record last night. He passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for all-time field goal playoff record. Now, that's not necessarily the one that interests me a ton, but I do want to talk about this. This is not an argument, what I'm going to do, to try to say LeBron's better than blank, 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 blank. Certainly not Michael Jordan. But Whenever LeBron breaks a record, here's what I always have to listen to. Well, 80s and 90s basketball was way better. I mean, anybody can score on, this team and that team. I mean, back then it was, I got to be honest about it, every player was like Spider-Man, just swaying from basket to basket. Players could do anything. So let me just put up some numbers. These are LeBron, 15th year, his playoff numbers this year. To the right are Michael Jordan's perhaps greatest Eastern Conference playoff run, 1993. LeBron averages more points, shoots a significantly better field goal percentage, 30% more rebounds, 40% more assists. But again, I know. 1993 in the Eastern Conference was, it was unbelievable. So it's time for Uncle Colin to give you a history lesson. I didn't watch 1993 playoff basketball on YouTube. I was 27. I actually watched the games, all of them. He didn't have a million channels. I watched all of them. So here's a history lesson about 1993 Eastern Conference playoff basketball. The two heavyweights, Boston, Larry Bird was gone. Kevin McHale was about gone. Detroit, Isaiah Thomas, a shell of himself near the end. The two big dogs were puppies. They were rebuilding. So here were the three playoff opponents for Michael Jordan in that great run where he was significantly less effective than LeBron. Atlanta was a defensive team. Kevin Willis was a star, could not shoot. Stacey Augmon, a defensive stopper, could not shoot. Mookie Blaylock, a defensive guard, not a great shooter. And Dominique Wilkins was old and never an elite pure shooter. Oh, what a roster. Cleveland had Brad Daugherty, getting older, nearing retirement. Larry Nance won a slam dunk contest, couldn't shoot. Mark Price was an elite shooter. Craig Elo was not. Either was Hot Rod Williams. So between the first two teams, one great shooter, Mark Price, a threat on every possession to score. And then there were the New York Knicks, Charles Smith, Anthony Mason, Patrick Ewing, Charles Smith, Charles Oakley. John Starks was a career 41% shooter. He made Westbrook look like Ray Allen. In 1993, you were facing high-end playoff teams in the East with 0 or 1 elite shooter. It was a less skilled era. I was 27. I watched those games. Back then, if you could hit a three, you were called a three-point specialist. It was a thing. Now it's a requirement. 7-footers can shoot. You have to play honest defense on everybody. I'm not joking. On everybody. 7'3" Porzingis can shoot a jumper. 7'1" Durant, maybe the league's second-best shooter. Joel Embiid can crank it up. Everybody can shoot. There are no Charles Oakleys and Charles Smiths and Anthony Masons. There are no Kevin Willis, Stacey Augmons on the floor. 9 of the 10 players on the floor that LeBron is facing can hit a three. Back then, 9 of 10 players on the floor were not allowed to take a three. You are no longer a specialist. It is a requirement. Just want to throw that out there. Let's look at the numbers again. LeBron James. Let's look at the numbers again for LeBron James in this playoff run. Surpassed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar last night. Let's look at the numbers, and let's look at Michael's numbers. Let it sit there and bake. I am not arguing who's better. That's not what I'm doing. But Uncle Colin occasionally has to give a history lesson. What the king is doing is very kingly, and I'll leave it at that. Coming up next, I don't think it means a thing, and like Facebook or Uber, they're going to overcome it. But I